Sports-A-Delic, Sports-A-Delics, what is up? What is up? I am Reem, and that's Lil Reem. As always, please subscribe, like, share the content. But more importantly, I want to hear your comments. I want you to go through there, like the videos, reach out to me. If there's a topic that you want me to discuss, because pretty soon we'll be able to webcam and we can just go ahead and get it on. But I want to know from you. Tell me what you want. I'm going to try to deliver. Man, this is truly, I'm sure, for the Arbery family, a truly, truly, truly Thanksgiving to be thankful for. We know what the verdict was. All three of these gentlemen, were found guilty. Travis McMichaels, the actual shooter, he was found guilty on all 9 counts. His father, 8 of the 9 counts. And the innocent bystander participant, Roddy Bryan, 6 of the 9. And again, man, hats off to the prosecutor. I mean, I'm telling you, if you see this lady, if you commit a crime and she walks in the courtroom, it's over. Just go ahead and ask immediately. Just stop the whole proceeding and be like, I want a plea deal. This is not the woman that you want to go up against, in a trial. And hats off to the GBI. This case was a long time coming. And I think Ahmaud Arbery's mother said it best. In 2020, she could not have possibly seen this day coming. They told this woman that her son was killed in a home invasion and no charges were going to be filed, and pretty much, hey, just get over it. And then we know about the dog whistle statements that Gregory McMichael's attorney, Laura Hogue, made. And you got to start educating yourself on code. A dog whistle is the whistle that the dog can hear and stops him in his tracks. When she was saying all of those terrible things about Ahmaud, not just her, but all of them blamed him for his own death. But that's code, because they felt like, hey, it's 11 white, it's 1 black, and we're going to speak that language in code, and we're going to get a conviction. We're going to get these cases dismissed, because they know the code. And hats off, to the jury. But I think the prosecutor laid things out in a way, that you just couldn't, you just could not dispute the facts. She laid it out in a way where she used the law and the facts to where you could not just walk in there and say, well, not guilty. And when I said hats off to the GBI, these also were Caucasians, and I've said it once, I said it 1,000 times. Not all white people are racist. Some of my best friends that I talk to on a daily basis are Caucasian, really solid people, and they really, really, really have been supportive through some of, the things that have been going on in the world as it relates to black people, being wrongfully gunned down. We all know just traffic stops should not end up with people being shot and brutalized, but we know that that's what's been going on. And a strong message was sent through this Ahmaud Arbery trial. I think, it's, hey, if you think that you can take the law in your own hands, if you think you can just stick your nose in somebody else's business, if you think that you can just make someone talk to you, then this case lets you know you better think twice. I'm not a Kemp fan, our governor, but I'm glad that he rescinded that ridiculous citizen's arrest, because we know that the defendants were not trying to do a citizen arrest. We know that the corrupt DA office there in Glenn County in Brunswick, Georgia, put that out there. That was their spin. And I know the prosecutor said on yesterday that independent of the video, they felt like it would have been a harder case, but they felt like that they had over 400 pieces of, evidence that they still would have been able to get convictions on these guys, just a little tougher. It just makes you wonder, and I've said this before we had cell phones, before we could video people, I wonder what was really going on in some of these places, before we had the capability of just video why it's happening in real time. What has gone on in Brunswick, Georgia, that has never made it to the media? And I think these guys, of course, they learned their lesson. And the number one thing, I worked for Juvenile Justice almost 20 years. I've seen a lot of young people go to prison, party to a crime, some cases murder, rapes, carjackings. I've seen a lot. I've sat down with a lot of kids that's made some poor decisions. You can't go back. You can't just, say, I'm sorry and move on. And I think in this case, the number one thing that stuck out to me was this father. This father instilled this type of hate in his son. And chances are, I can't say for sure, but Travis McMichael had a little boy, Gregory McMichael's grandson. And so it makes you wonder what were they going to, instill in him. And sometimes there's that divine intervention. Maybe that little boy, sadly, Ahmaud is not here, but that little boy still can at least go visit his father. But more importantly, maybe the divine intervention is that this type of nonsense will not be passed on to him. And let's hope and pray that somehow he's shielded from this whole thing, because I think the little guy is maybe 5 years old, maybe 6 now. Let's hope that he's shielded from this in a way that it doesn't build up some type of anger or revenge inside of him. But that's why racism, continues, because it keeps getting passed on. And hopefully those that engage in mistreating folks because of the color of their skin will take a look at this and learn from it and let it go. Because I do believe the McMichaels probably were running that little area. I think they probably were chastising, badgering people. And obviously, by the father having a history as a police officer and an investigator in the DA's office, he had a hand in everything. Only God knows what they had gotten away with up to this point. And I'm looking forward to February the 7th, 2022, because that's right. These 3 guys have to go to federal court. Hate crime. And by all accounts, it's done. One thing that I did see on Facebook, that I'm not an attorney, but again, I've worked for Juvenile Justice, interacted a lot with Superior Court. There are some things that I can say definitively. Life in the state of Georgia is a mandatory minimum 30 years before you can come up for parole. That's if the judge says life with the possibility of parole. But if he says life without parole, it's a wrap. But it's a wrap anyway, because Roddy Bryan and Greg McMichaels, they're already, in their early 60s. I think Roddy Bryan is like late 50s, so by all accounts, they're toasted. And then the feds coming at them, and I just think that it's over. With Travis McMichael, 30 years, and again, that's on the malice murder charge, felony murder charge, 30 years. The other counts, they still may get 30 years plus 15, or 30 years plus 36 years. Like, I've seen it happen. I've seen kids get 30 years for murder plus 25 on the other charges. I don't think we're going to have to worry about these guys being on the streets, truly, unless they break out. And by law, the father and son would have to be split up when they go off to prison, as well. It's a tragedy all the way around, because although those guys did something terrible, I'm sure they have some family members that don't agree with their way of thinking, and it's a loss. I still have enough compassion and empathy, for their loved ones, because without is without. Granted, it's because of their choices, but we can still find empathy in our heart, because it's sad. It's sad that you carry that type of hate around, so let's give empathy. We've always been, a lot of times, the bigger people. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to bring you my public service announcement as it relates to the Ahmaud Arbery, because I kid you not, I did not want to go into Thanksgiving with a no guilty. That it would have, I think, affected people all over the world that's really been paying attention to this, regardless of your skin color. And could you imagine if his family had to endure a not guilty verdict Thanksgiving? So again, hats off to the jury for just doing the right thing. Hats off to the GBI for doing a hell of an investigation to make it easy for the prosecutor. And absolutely, 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 hats off, to the lead prosecutor, because she did her thing. I can't pronounce her last name, but she's bad to the bone. That's my hero. I hope everyone is enjoying their Thanksgiving, because I am. I want to hear your comments. I want your feedback. Please like the videos. Please comment. That ultimately helps me to be better for you. And like I said, enjoy your Thanksgiving and be good to yourself. Good night.